Introduction. Whispers of rebellion. The air in Myanmar is thick with tension. A palpable fear hangs over the streets of Yangon, Mandalay, and countless villages across the country. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Vision Vibes. And today we're diving into the fascinating world of the fight against junta troops and Myanmar's rebel ambush. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, you're in the right place to learn something new and exciting. Since the military coup in February 2021, Myanmar has been trapped in a spiral of violence and repression. The junta's iron fist has silenced dissent, but it has also ignited a firestorm of resistance. In the heart of this struggle, whispers of rebellion have grown into a chorus of defiance. Across the nation, ordinary citizens have taken up arms, forming a patchwork of People's Defense Forces, or PDFs, determined to challenge the military's grip on power. These brave individuals, fueled by a burning desire for freedom and democracy, operate in the shadows, staging daring attacks against the junta's forces. Their actions are a testament to the indomitable spirit of the Burmese people, who refuse to be cowed by tyranny. Each passing day brings news of clashes, of lives lost and futures shattered. The world watches with a mix of horror and admiration as the people of Myanmar fight for their right to self-determination. In this volatile landscape, a recent rebel ambush against junta troops stands out as a pivotal moment, a stark reminder of the escalating conflict and its profound implications for the future of Myanmar. The People's Defense Force, often abbreviated as PDF, is not a monolithic entity but rather a decentralized network of resistance groups. These groups have emerged organically in response to the military's brutal crackdown on pro-democracy protests. They are united by a common goal to overthrow the junta and restore democratic rule in Myanmar. Many PDF fighters are ordinary citizens who have been radicalized by the junta's violence. They come from all walks of life: students, teachers, farmers, shopkeepers. What they share is a deep-seated belief in the principles of democracy and a refusal to accept military rule. They have received basic military training, often from ethnic armed groups that have been fighting the Burmese military for decades. The PDFs rely on a combination of guerrilla tactics and popular support to sustain their fight. They operate in small units, launching hit-and-run attacks on junta targets. They also rely heavily on the local population for food, shelter, and intelligence. This support underscores the widespread opposition to the junta and the growing legitimacy of the PDFs as a force for change. In the early hours of a PDF unit staged a carefully planned ambush against a convoy of junta troops. The location was strategic, a remote stretch of road winding through dense jungle. The rebels had been tracking the junta's movements, gathering intelligence on troop numbers and patrol routes. As the convoy approached the ambush site, the PDF fighters sprang into action. They detonated improvised explosive devices, IEDs, hidden along the roadside, disabling the lead vehicles and throwing the convoy into disarray. Then, from concealed positions in the surrounding jungle, they opened fire with small arms and rocket-propelled grenades. The junta troops, caught off guard, scrambled for cover, returning fire in a chaotic exchange. The ambush lasted for a whirlwind of gunfire and explosions echoing through the jungle. The PDF fighters, relying on their superior knowledge of the terrain and tactical agility, inflicted heavy casualties on the junta troops before melting back into the jungle. News of the ambush spread quickly, carried on the whispers of the wind and the hushed voices of villagers. The junta, in an attempt to control the narrative, downplayed the severity of the attack and dismissed the PDF fighters as terrorists. However, the impact of the ambush was undeniable. The attack served as a powerful symbol of the growing strength and audacity of the PDF movement. It sent shockwaves through the junta's ranks, exposing the vulnerability of their forces in rural areas. It also bolstered the morale of the resistance fighters and inspired others to join their ranks. The aftermath of the ambush saw an escalation of violence in the region. The junta, enraged by the attack, launched retaliatory raids on nearby villages, searching for suspected PDF supporters. These operations often involved indiscriminate violence, further alienating the local population and fueling the cycle of conflict. Section 5. Voices from the Front. The Rebel Perspective. "We are fighting for our freedom, for the future of our country," said Mayat, a young PDF fighter who participated in the ambush. His voice, resolute yet weary, reflects the heavy burden carried by those on the front lines of this struggle. We know the risks, but we are determined to resist the junta's tyranny. Mayat, like many of his comrades, joined the PDF after witnessing the military's brutality firsthand. The coup, the crackdown on protests, the arbitrary arrests, the killings, these events fueled a fire in his heart, a burning desire for justice and a commitment to fight for a better future. "We are not terrorists," Mayat insisted. "We are fighting for the same democratic rights that people in other countries take for granted. We want to live in a country where we can freely express our opinions, choose our own leaders, and build a better life for ourselves and our children." Section 6. Caught in the crossfire, the junta's soldiers. While the rebel ambush showcased the PDF's growing capabilities, it also shed light on the complex realities faced by the soldiers fighting for the junta. Many of these soldiers are young conscripts, drawn from impoverished rural communities, with limited understanding of the political intricacies of the conflict. "I joined the army because I had no other options," confided Ong, a young soldier who survived the ambush. His voice, filled with a mix of fear and resignation, hinted at the moral dilemmas faced by those caught in the crossfire. "My family is poor, and the army offered a steady income." Ong spoke of the constant fear of ambush, the fatigue of endless patrols, the growing disillusionment with the junta's propaganda. He admitted to feeling conflicted, caught between his duty to follow orders and his growing unease about the violence inflicted on his own people. "I just want this to end," Ong confessed. "I want to go home, to live a normal life, but I don't know when or if that will ever be possible." Section 7. The world reacts, a chorus of condemnation. The rebel ambush drew swift condemnation from the international community. Governments worldwide expressed outrage at the escalating violence and called for the junta to end its campaign of repression. The United Nations Security Council issued a statement urging restraint and a return to dialogue. Human rights organizations condemned the junta's human rights abuses, documenting cases of extrajudicial killings, torture, and arbitrary detention. They called for targeted sanctions against the junta leaders and an arms embargo to cut off the flow of weapons fueling the conflict. However, the international response has been criticized as being too slow and insufficient to deter the junta. Critics argue that the lack of concrete action, such as a global arms embargo or the referral of the junta leaders to the International Criminal Court, has emboldened the military and prolonged the suffering of the Burmese people. Section 8. Regional ripples, instability and uncertainty. The conflict in Myanmar has sent shockwaves through the region, raising concerns about regional stability and the potential for spillover effects. Neighboring countries, already grappling with their own challenges, are now facing an influx of refugees fleeing the violence. The instability in Myanmar has also emboldened transnational criminal organizations which thrive in lawless environments. These groups are involved in drug trafficking, human trafficking, and other illicit activities, posing a threat to regional security and undermining efforts to promote peace and development. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, a regional bloc of which Myanmar is a member, has faced criticism for its muted response to the crisis. Some member states have called for stronger action, including suspending Myanmar's membership, but others have been reluctant to intervene in what they consider an internal matter. Section 9. The junta's grip tightening control. Despite mounting international pressure and the growing resistance movement, the junta remains firmly entrenched in power. It has tightened its grip on the country, intensifying its crackdown on dissent and consolidating its control over key institutions. The junta has imposed strict censorship, shutting down independent media outlets and arresting journalists who dare to report on the regime's abuses. It has also cracked down on civil society organizations, accusing them of supporting the resistance movement. The military has also sought to strengthen its economic control, seizing assets and businesses linked to opponents of the regime. This has exacerbated the economic crisis, leading to widespread poverty and hardship, particularly in rural areas. Section 10. A nation divided. The struggle for Myanmar's soul. The rebel ambush and the ongoing conflict have exposed the deep divisions within Myanmar society. The country is now locked in a battle for its soul, a struggle between those who yearn for freedom and democracy and those who cling to the authoritarian structures of the past. On one side are the millions of Burmese citizens who took to the streets in 2021, demanding an end to military rule and a return to democracy. They are joined by the brave PDF fighters who risk their lives every day to challenge the junta's authority. On the other side are the military leaders and their supporters, who view the coup as necessary to maintain order and stability. They justify their actions by claiming to be safeguarding national unity and protecting the country from foreign interference. Section 11. Conclusion: a glimmer of hope in the darkness. The rebel ambush in Myanmar is a stark reminder of the brutal realities of the ongoing conflict and the challenges facing the resistance movement. It is a story of courage and sacrifice, of ordinary people taking extraordinary risks to fight for a better future. The path ahead for Myanmar remains uncertain. The junta's grip on power shows no signs of weakening, and the violence continues to escalate. But amidst the darkness, there is a glimmer of hope. The resilience of the Burmese people, their unwavering commitment to democracy, and the growing strength of the resistance movement offer a beacon of hope for a future free from tyranny. The outcome of this struggle will have profound implications not only for Myanmar, but for the entire region. The international community must stand in solidarity with the people of Myanmar, providing meaningful support for the resistance movement and holding the junta accountable for its crimes. The fight for freedom and democracy in Myanmar is a fight for the soul of a nation, and it is a fight that deserves the world's attention and support. That's all for today, folks. Remember to keep practicing, keep exploring, and keep pushing your limits. Until next time, take care and be happy. The fight against junta troops and Myanmar's rebel ambush. And finally, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. Your support and engagement mean the world to us. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more content like this.